There are some people, I think, normally naturally attracted to the notion that the physical is the most real, and other people attracted to the notion it's the spiritual that is the most real. And in a country where there's freedom, people can exercise this kind of religion. Why do you think they exercise their religion in that way? I think often one factor is really powerful charismatic leaders. It has to be that Joseph Smith as the first prophet and then Brigham Young as the next prophet were powerful, charismatic with a small c, not Pentecostal, but just very effective communicators, dominant personalities, driven by their own vision in such a powerful way that other people are drawn in. Mary Baker Eddy must have had that same kind of leadership quality about her. And of course, people are gullible. P.T. Barnum, there's a sucker born every minute. I mean, people want to believe certain things. And it's much easier, somebody said, to get people to believe what they want to believe than to get them to believe what they don't want to believe. And of course, ultimately, we believe this was a demonic strategy to lead people away from the truth. I was quoting Luther at the National Conference this year, and Luther very wisely said, wherever God builds his church, the devil builds a chapel next door, and the chapel is always bigger. It always has something more exciting. And that's sort of the spiritual warfare we find ourselves in. And so the gullibility of people is a real factor in the rise of cults, but also the fact that too many American Protestants were content not to have education or a real theological system. And if you don't have education and a real theological system, you are much more susceptible to someone opening the Bible and saying, now look at that verse. Your denomination doesn't take account of that verse. I can explain that to you. And if you really don't know what you ought to believe, if you don't have a systematic approach to the Bible, it's much easier to be led astray. And I think that has happened over and over again in the history of the American churches.